okay, so I've gotten requests to do this one for a while now. A lot of people are interested in it, and I've been hesitant to do it because I don't have a lot of live-action movie figures. I don't collect these. I think the movie designs are absolutely hideous. Even the ones people like, Optimus Prime for instance, are absolutely some of the ugliest things I can think of. So if I don't like the look of them, and the movies sure aren't going to convince me to care with characterization, then I'm just not going to pick them up. That said, there is one movie that stands apart. One movie that had designs that looked cool. One movie where they forgot to save all the character designs in grayscale. One movie where the Cybertronians were actually allowed to have characters. The Bumblebee movie. So I did pick up a bunch of figures from that movie. Also, I have Nitro Zeus. So welcome to a What's the Best I Didn't Think I Was Going to Do. What's the best Studio Series figure that I have? And Nitro Zeus. Purchase order, let's go. Nitro Zeus. The figure I like so much, I'm actively trying to get rid of it. Yeah, I'm pawning this thing off on a friend at the next opportunity. I went out of my way to buy this figure based on the fact that every reviewer sang its praises to the high heavens, and I feel like I've been lied to. This thing sucks. The good points of this figure begins and ends halfway through with its alt mode. That's a pretty styling jet. Not very hardcore looking for a Decepticon, looks more like something used for parade like the Blue Angels. Anyways, the reason the alt mode is only half good is the tail. The stupid arm-mounted minigun just does not lock in, so handle this thing at all and it comes flopping out. And phrasing it that way just put a bad image in my head. Anyways, the wings are very easy to unpeg and very hard to get pegged. Also, I don't say this lightly, but it's literally impossible to get everything to tab together properly. Normally, I see reviewers say stuff like things don't tab together properly, and I laugh because it's almost always easy for me to do what they say is difficult, and I can always get it done. But not here. This is the one figure in my entire collection I cannot get to fit together properly. Transformation here sucks. The transformation is actually the reason I bought it, because every review I saw said how smart and different it was. I gotta ask, had none of them ever handled a transformer before? Because this transformation is dumb as fuck. Basically, you have him point over his head with one hand and point at the ground with the other while doing the splits. Plus, it has some of those terrible joints that are meant to transform out of the way and then transform back just to give some clearance to move. Ugh, I don't like it. And it's basically impossible to transform the figure without the headmaster popping off into space. What's that, I hear you ask? It's a headmaster? Why yes it is. And it's the one headmaster in the history of headmasters where the head coming off is not part of the transformation. And it's the one headmaster in the history of headmasters that I wish it did. But no, the head has to stay on because the head doesn't fit in the cockpit when it's in alt mode. So instead you just have this piece attached with spit and hope hanging from the bottom of the figure 24/7. Anyways, this robot mode sucks. He's just not posable. He's got no waist, he's got tiny useless thighs and shockingly simple arms, plus his headmaster sucks at its job. It's just not good at posing, and the look of the figure with its black and gray and hints of brown is so boring it's putting me to sleep. And I'm a guy who thinks that black and white is normally a classy color scheme. Alright, let's leave this turd in the dust. On to the Bumblebee figures I actually like. So, an interesting thing they did with the Bumblebee movie was they took the villains who were supposed to be triple changers and made two figures of each of them, splitting them into their two alt modes. Now, while I avoided Shatter's first figure because it looked nothing like her and because it was universally derided for sucking, I was positively anxious to get Dropkicks. And boy, this thing is small. It's hard to convey just how small this thing is. Like, it's a deluxe that feels smaller than a Legends class. My phone, provided it's in its case, is thicker than this alt mode is and more than twice as tall. Now, I'm not complaining as much as it might sound like I am. It's actually impressive how much this thing crushes down to become a helicopter. This thing looks great. You'd struggle to tell it actually transforms. Who looks at this and goes, yeah, I know how that works. It's also got opposing rotor. And it can go so far, it turns into suicide mode. Transformation here is fascinating, and it's also very hard to remember. Everything here moves in ways that you aren't used to, and I think this is the second figure to ever have the Titans Return cup legs. And you end up with this really odd figure with baggy arms. This level of chaos does look like a movie figure. Downstairs he poses quite well, upstairs he's a bit of a whack job. I've never liked his face. It lacks distinct features, and it's just too alien to give the character a personality. Boy, his weird childbearing hips are a sight to see. Honestly, the highlight of this figure is the transformation. If you want a good, solid helicopter and a weird catastrophe of a robot with a crazy transformation, this is a good figure. Dropkick too. Yeah, so for whatever reason, they released both versions of Dropkick before they did both versions of Shatter. His alt mode, once again, feels kind of small, but it looks great, provided that you can get everything to tab together. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like handling this thing because it's a nightmare to get the alt mode to tab together. And I know how ironic it is that in the video where I make the boast that I can get everything to transform properly with ease, I have two examples of that not being true. But unlike the other one, this is actually doable. The problem is that there are tiny tabs that don't like to locate in the door and the roof. Anyways, enough about the splendid looking car mode, let's talk transformation. Going from car to robot is actually really fun on this guy. Other way around sucks, but this direction is smart and interesting, and it's the reason I chose to review all these figures back to front, because I'll be damned if I'm going to try and get this into vehicle mode on camera. That'd be a hell and a half of an experience. Robot mode is great. He comes out a little short, but he's the spitting image of the movie. Still don't like that head, but the tire shoulders are cool. And he's nowhere near the clusterfuck of the original figure. Ultimately, if it weren't for the transformation going the other way, this would be a high recommend from me. On to Jet Shatter. That sounds like an anime attack name. This jet mode is interesting. It's not quite the exact model of the movie, but it's close, unlike Blitzwings. One cool thing is that the rear thrusters can angle downwards, as this is supposed to be a VTOL jet. I feel like this would look a lot better without the extra engine wings. Transformation going both ways is significantly better than the last one, though I think going to robot mode at Dropkicks is still more fun. And look at that, she looks like she's supposed to. That is a Killer head sculpt. The way the cheeks reflect the light is something to behold. I really feel like I have a tiny evil robot in front of me. She has an ab crunch as a result of her transformation, so that's cool. She doesn't so much of a waist swivel as much as she has a pec swivel, but that's the same difference. The one problem here is that backpack is kind of absurd. I've seen some big backpacks, but this one here is a monster, and there are a lot of angles this looks positively silly from as a result. Blitzwing. What can I say about this figure that I haven't already? The jet mode is a jet. It's not the right jet at all, but it is a jet, so they've only screwed up intensely and not unbelievably, but the hindquarters still look very ropey. Transformation is good, though it's got some real foibles. Is this just how all movie figures are? Why do all of these have such extreme narrow tolerance issues? And I gotta say, they are getting a lot of mileage out of the Titans Return Cup legionneering. Seriously, it's starting to no longer feel special. What should I expect though? It's a damn clever idea capable of a lot of useful stuff. Anyways, when it's done, you end up with this fantastic looking robot. I think this is pretty easily the best looking robot of the bunch. Unfortunately, this thing sucks to handle. The robot mode constantly wants to rend itself apart, the wingtips are way too easy to knock off, and it's just a pain I didn't want to deal with. I really wanted to like this thing. I love the look of the robot mode, but I don't anticipate this ending up too high on the list. Cliffjumper. He makes a pretty decent Cybertronian mouse. Seriously though, how have they not announced this being released in yellow as Bumblebee yet? This is clearly his Cybertronian alt mode. Not much to comment on outside that, considering we didn't actually see much of him in the movie. Anyways, transformation on this guy is not the worst, but it's also not good. It's very chaotic, and it just doesn't hit any high notes. With the exception of Nitro Zeus, every other figure had a fun moment somewhere in the transformation. Every step of this is like a 3 to a 4 out of 10. And you end up with this horrible little goblin monster. Ugh, he's so ugly. Anyways, I can't really hold that against him. He doesn't look wrong, but he does look like a half-dead gobbo wearing a Sphinx hat. Pose is fine, but doesn't quite have anything stunning going on. He's just a figure of an ugly character who didn't get to have a personality other than Guy Who Dies, because apparently that's who Cliffjumper is now. He's Worf, but he actually gets the dignity of death. Anyways, what's the best? I don't think I'm going to surprise anyone when I say Nitro Zeus is dead last. There's not one figure half as bad as this one. His weapon is too loose, his limbs are weird, his transformation isn't fun, and I forgot to mention earlier that I actually intentionally removed and threw away his wing turbines because they were 1, a faux forming piece, 2, one that didn't improve the look of the robot mode, and 3, were annoying as sin to deal with because it was basically impossible to not pop them off during the transformation. Oh, and him headmasters suck. After him comes Cliffjumper. He's just kind of a lifeless figure. I didn't intend that to be a play on words. Alt mode means nothing, transformation isn't fun, and the robot mode is hideous. Outside that, he has no glaring flaws. It's just that there's nothing to connect to here. I suppose he's an accurate rendition of the movie character, model that is, because he had no character. Blitzwing. I actually struggled with not putting Cliffjumper over this one. It's got a wrong, like, 1/3 unfinished alt mode, an okay transformation, and a gorgeous robot mode marred by the fact that it doesn't want to hold together at all, and it just makes this figure too frustrating to put high. I wanted this to be the best one, but at best it's in the middle. Dropkick 1. As much as I want to get past the caveman brain saying, big good, small bad, I can't. This feels minuscule. Transformation is super cool, but the robot is janky, and it's not a good representation of what the character looked like in the film. He's in like 20 seconds of the movie as a helicopter, and 0 seconds looking like this. Dropkick 2. This could have easily been number 1 had it not been for how much of a bitch the transformation from robot to vehicle is. He looks great, he's got a cool alt mode, he's got a fun transformation, but that transformation is only fun going one way. The other way is a nightmare. So, kind of by default, Shatter is the winner of this little contest. She's tied with Dropkick 2 for the best, most accurate alt mode. She's right behind Blitzwing for the best looking robot mode, and she has the most fun, least annoying transformation. Yeah, her backpack is pretty bad, but this was actually kind of a race with a bunch of kneecapped competition. I can't say that I feel like not engaging with the movie lines has left me missing out on anything all too good. Anyways, that's not half of what I have to say, but it's enough of what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.